everyone. Welcome to Straight For You, where we're bringing you straightforward dialogue with an open mind. I'm your host, Miss Black Diamond, along with my handsome chocolate co-host. Who are you?
Cut it out now.
You know.
Folks, you know who it is. It's Rashad, a.k.a. Trouble the Unruly. How y'all doing out there, world?
Oh, you unruly?
What?
Okay.
See, you was just supposed to let that slide.
You put it out there, so I'm just letting them know.
You wasn't even supposed to hear that. You just supposed to gloss over that.
I'm with it.
You just supposed to gloss over that. Like, you just supposed to gloss over that.
I'm with that.
I want them to be like, God damn. So like, it's always something new. It's always been there. You know what I'm saying? But anyway.
Hey, I love that you're giving your whole name along with the trouble.
Oh,
this a new thing for you?
I didn't.
This a new thing?
I just gave the first name. Unlike somebody who blasted me.
But you blasted yourself. And I just asked you, did you want me to go there? But anyway, you know. But what's good in your life, baby?
Sheesh.
The sheesh. It's always a sheesh moment.
Look, I'm just saying, like it's I'm just keeping on. That I think that's about as easy as I can do it. Ain't too much of nothing else going on at the current moment. Like things.
That's a blessing, though.
Things are very vanilla. No, like
no. Who wants drama all the time, though?
Well, I don't. It ain't drama, but I'm hungry for some adventure. Like I'm hungry for some bad decisions here. Like,
well, it's still the beginning of the year, so we got time.
Like I'm hungry for some bad decisions and hungry for some like adventures and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
You got to put in that work in order to get to them adventures.
Let's not talk about work.
I know. You got to do what you got to do, honey, in order to get to them adventure times. But I'm proud of you.
I don't necessarily. Say before another. Anyway, yes. What's good? What's going on?
I feel you on ain't too much going on. It's pretty vanilla with me. I've been just doing my work and handling my business, making sure that y'all are getting engaged and tuning in to the show and liking what y'all see, as well as just, like I said, just take care of my personal, handling business, taking care of bills. Bills come every month, different days within the month. It's like it's a never-ending story.
Yeah, but you buying stuff that you don't even need to be buying, y'all. She bought some tassels.
Well,
I'm not finna deal with this.
I had to look this way because I'm on Facebook too. Shout outs to them.
Deal with
but
this.
At the end of the day,
why. Never mind.
Well, I'm gonna get them tassels. It's gonna be a tassel life. It's either gonna be for Halloween. I'm just gonna let y'all know. I ain't gonna be. I'm gonna have them covered up, but I'm gonna have the tassels like. I'm gonna practice to make them go in the same direction. I'm not gonna be present for that. That's why I ain't gonna tell you. But anyway,
I'm leaving.
That's why I ain't gonna tell you.
I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna be like, oh, and would you look at the time? I know I just got here, but it's time for me to go.
No, it's time
already.
for you to stay and watch this circle action.
Sexual chocolate.
Watch this circle action.
Stage left.
But going on, moving forward. Guess what the topic for today is, sir?
Do I have to guess? Because, I feel like you're going to tell them.
Yeah, I'll tell you. See how I'm fixing you on camera. But anyway, yes, today's topic is dysfunctions within the generations. Yes, sir. This is a heavy topic.
All your topics 14. Are heavy.
Well, sometimes it's a heavy life. If, we just going to have to, make it lighter by having conversation. So why not?
Heavy life. I don't know if I would.
Hey, it's a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff to get through in this world. So why not be the vessel of helping out?
I won't do that.
Well, you on here and you're gonna do it at the end of the day. Well, Wikipedia said as far as like the dysfunctions within the family, I just gave a little snippet. It says dysfunctional family is a family in which conflict, misbehavior, and often child neglect, abuse on the part of the individual parents occurring constantly, regularly, leading other members to accommodate such actions. Children sometimes grow with the understanding that such behavior is normal. So due to them being in that particular environment for so long, it becomes the norm. And I think we had some conversation on previous shows about how certain things within the family kind of is embedded in you, and it's up to you to kind of wash certain things away out your life and restart yourself with a clearer mind, because a lot of things have happened throughout generations that unaware were passed on.
Yeah.
So, what's your stance on this topic of dysfunctions within the generations?
So when you say stance, do you mean like do I agree or like what?
No, just like me giving you this topic. What do you feel within your perspectives of what it means to you? Because it's not one particular race, because we always talk about the black perspective, but this is in every type of race that they go through certain things in their life and struggles, but they don't maybe realize it's a generation thing. And somebody has to break that chain.
Absolutely.
So
So it's actually interesting. I was having a conversation with a gentleman actually last night, and we were kind of talking about this, not necessarily this, but it's related.
Yes.
So with that, but my father and our relationship for the longest time was kind of strained.
Yeah.
Or not even kind of, it was.
Yeah.
And that was looking at it in the glass or in the frames or the eyes that I had back then versus now is completely different. But looking at it from back then, I had a lot of resentments toward him for a lot of things. And the reason why is because the dysfunction that was, if we're relating it to the topic, the dysfunction that was him projecting his fears onto me, whether it was consciously or subconsciously, from a lot of the things that he recommended that I do with my life or that I should not do with my life versus the things that I wanted to do. Versus the things that I wanted to do with my life. So I ended up going to school for IT, and it was not something that I ever wanted to do. I wanted to go to school for the arts.
So you were redirected.
Right, I was redirected, which funny enough now I've like found my way back to all those things that I wanted to do. But anyway, I say all that to say that like back then, like for like the longest time I was really upset with him because I was like, why didn't you support me, or why didn't you believe in me?
In your dreams.
Yeah, why didn't you like support my dreams or believe in me enough to be like, hey, you can do this? Or you could have worded it differently. Even if he was like, well, what if you don't make it, then what? You could have been like, hey, you might want to have a backup plan, but pursue that first, but also have a backup plan. Like even if he would have worded it differently. But I mean,
that makes me go back into like what we were talking about as far as the generation. Maybe he experienced the same thing that he gave to you.
Right. And
because I've noticed within my family and outside families, it's always the previous generation that embedded something in them.
Right.
And like I said, it becomes such a habit that they don't realize they're doing it until it's too late. And now you caused all this trauma within the youth, and they don't know what to do with themselves.
So and so to continue like with that, like it was one of those things to where, like I said, I was upset with him for the longest, and I couldn't get past that. I couldn't get past it because I was just like, I'm in this lane that I can't get out of now, and I feel stuck.
Yeah.
Well, some time had passed, and after 20, the most part, if I remember this right, so don't quote me, the frontal lobe in individuals, for women I think it's usually like 25, but for men it's like 25 to 27. The frontal lobe is fully developed around about that time.
Yeah, the women.
Women. So, after some time had passed, like being able to kind of like revisit some of those dysfunctions and some of those traumas, I was able to look at it from a different perspective, with a completely different set of eyes, and I was able to look at my dad as not just as my father in that situation, but also as another human being that was trying to figure out life just like I am.
And that's true.
And so, and from there, I was able to forgive him for a lot of the things that had happened, and a lot of the things, that I felt like he could have done better, because like I said, being able to look at him as another human being, I was like, shit, he was trying to figure out shit just like I'm still trying to do now.
Yeah.
But even in that, with me forgiving him, like there's still old programs that I still have to kind of like catch I still have to catch myself even now in some of those dysfunctions. Like I still have to catch myself now, because some of this stuff has a tendency to try to want to pop back up now. And and it I don't want to say it gets easier, but I have a tendency to be able to recognize it a bit more easier now that I've gotten older and so on and so forth. So like, because I'm able to recognize that I have now I can be like, wait, Like,
I
been been
I've
there,
seen that.
I've seen this.
So let me
like,
correct
right,
it.
yeah, let me correct this. Or let me hit the brakes real quick and take a deep breath and reassess the situation and approach differently.
Yeah.
But so for me, that's kind of some of the dysfunction that I've experienced. Of course, there's a whole lot more and so on and so forth.
I got some stories, but since you related to the father stance, I'm gonna relate to my so-called father stance.
Ooh,
And I say
nice.
so-called for a reason, because in my stance, mine wasn't available, not because of some traumatic experience. It's because of a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the years, I always wondered about him until I eventually got to see him and realized that it was a blessing that he wasn't in my life. Because truthfully, he had to be convinced, not even convinced, tricked to see me. And when I found that out, it changed my perspective on my idea of him. It's not the fact that he wasn't there for me. It's like I gave excuses to why he wasn't there. And then to get the real reality that he didn't really want to be there was a shocking blow.
Right.
And females, I say, have a quicker tendency to forgive compared to males.
You think so?
Because I forgave him. I forgave him despite what I found out, and he still didn't come to the task like he should have, because it got worse in a sense, but due to what I learned through his history, I'm gonna say straight up, he was a spoiled ass man. He was spoiled all his life, got spoiled when he became a teenager, and got spoiled as he grew up as a man, and never understood the idea of taking care of a human being or being there for someone else other than himself.
Wow. Okay.
And that's my stance and my understanding for him.
Okay.
Now, I don't deal with him, but I respect him as a person, but I gotta understand, I gotta protect me at the overall when it comes to that. And when it comes to the dysfunction, they didn't want to see the red flags. They masked.
Right.
Well, it's just because he had this going on in his life. Oh, because that is it was always an excuse and not really a solution to the problem as to why he was this way. And me being of his flesh and seeing what was really going on, because I'm the outsider looking in, even though I'm part of the nucleus of who he is.
Right.
Of course, I have a stance on telling them what it really is. And with me and my stance, they looked at me, oh, you so wrong. How am I wrong to tell the truth about a person that should have been there in the first place? So maybe God put it upon me to tell that, because y'all are denying the truth and seeing the results. And now that he has got older and got worse within his situation, now they want to be like, you were right. Yes, I was right, and y'all were right from the get-go that y'all shouldn't have did certain things to, how a drug addict, you just constantly give them money or certain things, thinking like
keep feeding the habit.
Thinking that you actually helping them, but you hurting them in the run because you're not putting your foot down. Yeah. And it's not just like that situation. It happens in family. When they see negative things happen, they kind of pacify it instead of addressing it or sweeping it under the rug. That's why I say it doesn't matter what race. It's not a black thing, white thing. It's because I've been in all types of homes, different culture-wise, and they all have similarities, just different colors. A lot of people sweep things under the rug within the family because they figure like it's the family secret. We'll deal with it. They always say let the family deal with it, but you don't. That's the problem.
Have a tendency to sweep things under the rug.
If you dealing with it, you will come face to face with it and have a conversation, and then find a solution. If they can't agree to the solution, they're gonna have to be shunned within the family. Sometimes you got to do that in order to protect the certain ones, the next generation. Because if you keep continuing in the cycle of abuse, neglect, and trauma and stuff like that, when will it end? Because every household has stories.
Absolutely.
Every generation has a story. And sometimes you have to step outside of what you got going on currently to understand their story. Because, again, they were children at one point. Your parents were children at one point.
Absolutely.
Their parents were children at one point. So what, during that time, during that era, what did they traumatically go through in order to pass certain things to the next generation?
You know, that's a good question, and it puts me in a headspace to think of the day that I do have children, a child or children. What things will I consciously and subconsciously pass on to them?
Because that can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it can happen.
Being in the space of, as far as my perspective on the world and the things that I would want to instill in my children, I know that there are going to be things that I will miss, and that there'll be certain things that my child will have to learn on their own, and not even necessarily learn on their own, but just the things that my perspective is biased, because like I haven't walked in anybody else's shoes, only my own. So the way that I view the world is just that. So the things that I might want to try to instill in my child might not, all of them might not be beneficial. Some of them might be somewhat
harmful.
traumatic and harmful, and even with the intention of being good. Yeah. As the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
If we're going by that, but I say that to say that's also one of the concerns that I have about if and or when I decide to have children. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
with me being a parent, I'm not a perfect person, and I sought guidance with the idea of me being a parent. And I must admit, some of that guidance I shouldn't have listened to, because it ended up creating a traumatic situation. Because I'm thinking I'm doing old school ways, that's the better way, instead of going through the motion of what's going on in the world currently.
Right. Okay.
And with that being said, I had to step back from everything, and instead of me going with my gut feeling and knowing what's right within me, I was listening to other idealistics of what should be right. What is a child's place? What this supposed to be this way? That was good for that particular time and era. But nowadays, things are different.
Absolutely.
You got to be more careful with these kids, because they receiving certain things within the school. They receiving certain things within the environment. They receiving, the food is different, you know. So with that being said, there might be some chemical imbalance there that we don't even know or even tapped into, because we're so stuck in the old ways of thinking that it's okay to keep the old ways of thinking, but yet bring some new school of thoughts within that, and try to create a marriage, because you can't always discipline with a heavy fist. Sometimes you're going to have to discipline with a little bit more love and understanding. Because at the end of the day, when you were a child, you didn't appreciate all that discipline, even though it helped you now as an adult, but some of it was a little extreme. And I've seen some situations within my family that were like hard and traumatic to some of my members, to this day. And I'm like, me reflecting back on those situations, I had to sit back and say no to myself. I will not be like that with my own. And even though it still created a trauma within that individual, I'm rebuilding. Trying to let them be more free into the world, become what they want to become, not what I tell them they should be. Ooh. Because that's what, in a sense, kind of happened to me. I was redirected from my purpose in life. I already had a vision. I already had an idea of who I wanted to be, but due to the idea of what I wanted to be wasn't perfect in their eyes. Right. And that is because of the stuff they experienced in their life.
And it's funny that you mentioned, because even now I think about if and when, let me quit saying if, but when I do have children, like Me personally, because of the things that I experienced and the trauma that I experienced, like I call myself, I guess, trying to correct it with my children whenever I do have them, to be like, hey, whatever you decide that you want to do, I want to support you. But that might not even be, that might not, that's probably better, but who's to say that that's like fully, like 100% right? You know what I'm saying?
No child comes with a complete guide.
Right.
You don't know what that individual is going to be like mentally.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you having this conversation is a great start. To go ahead and tap into what you've been through. Try to redirect it so you won't do it to your seed, or better yet, find a better solution to how they approached you with it, and go from there. Because again, some children are beyond, and they will push you.
Right.
No matter how good you are to them, they will push you.
And to that point, so me saying that was like, who's to say that me trying to encourage my child to, like, do that, that might not be some sort of level of dysfunction, or some sort of level of trauma, that I'm introducing to that child by being like, hey, you can do whatever you want, do whatever you decide.
It's a hands-on experience,
right? You know what I'm saying?
It is a hands-on experience, because again, reason what I said because an example of my so-called father, they did everything for him. He had the best of the best, a semi-wealthy family. Left land.
Can I borrow $5?
Yeah, well, but anyway, but I'm just saying, he had from what I've learned, he had an outstanding life and chose the streets. Then were never from the streets, but he chose the streets. And that's why I said sometimes it's not even the parent, it's the child and with their mental state of mind, or it could be something with them genetically that triggers them to do something different that's outside the norm. But you do have those families and households that go through struggle and pain, and sometimes the child can go with that pain or go against it and become something better. And I'm leaning towards the betterment of people, period. So I try to put myself in certain people's shoes and move forward with that, and I'm learning to try to be a better person, not just for other people but for myself. Again, I had to step back and deprogram myself. I had to deprogram myself from certain behaviors, because I saw that pattern kicking in my spirit, because that's all I saw growing up. And I was like, no ma'am, no sir, I'm not going to have my child do that to the next generation.
So what's funny? I don't necessarily know if you would see this, but I remember people would post on Facebook or would make the statement of, like, from time to time, about as much as, like, you hated the way that certain things that your parents did, as you got older, you end up started imitating some of those same things.
Yeah, you do.
Do you really?
You do. The good and the bad.
Well,
the good and the bad, it doesn't matter, because you've been around them all your life. It's whatever parent. It might not be a physical parent. It could be an auntie. It can be an uncle. It can be a cousin. Somebody that is strongly impacted in your life can change your life.
Try it. Okay.
It can, like I said, it can lead you to a good direction or a bad direction. And you have the tendency to take something from each person in your life. And you, it's just like you have this cool uncle, you might take on his cool ways, or this cool auntie, or you might have this fucked up uncle or fucked up auntie, and you take some of their negative. It all depends.
Now that I can attest to. One of my uncles, hilarious. Everybody is drawn to him, and everybody, like, whenever he talk, people like listen, because he always got something funny to say. And I remember growing up, I would look at him and I'd be like, damn, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be like that whenever I get older. Like, I want to be that person that people listen to, and I make people laugh. So yeah, I get that. I get that. Like, and I feel like that might have been the characteristic that I tried to take on.
Yeah.
One of the things that I tried to do.
I have an auntie, I call her my Mary J. Blige. To me, she was stylish, she was outgoing, she this, that, and the other, and she still is. But I know my family, like I said, they have their trauma and they have their good times and they have their bad times. So I can say, yeah, I've seen some things and I understand the behavior of the people in my family. Because again, I can't help it. I analyze. That's why when I deal with certain people, I can't help it. I study them because of the stuff I've been through to make sure. I guess that's why I try to be more friendly and understanding towards people, because I've seen trauma, I've seen hurt, I've seen pain. I don't like it.
Yo, and it's so crazy to hear you say that, because like that's a defense mechanism, or it sounds like it's a defense mechanism to the traumas and the dysfunction that you experience. And so like now there's a new program, or you try to set a new program in place to try to counteract that.
Yeah.
And that's so funny that in those particular spaces we develop defense mechanisms and so on and so forth, when out of a way to protect ourselves from the things that have damaged us and the things that have hurt us.
And it is. And some people handle it well, or some people go with the chaos. And that's when you get the abusers and the mistreaters and things of that nature, or the sex addicts and things of that nature. Because again,
trying to find ways to cope.
Yes, the cope. It's a coping mechanism. Either some people, like I said, can beat it, or they go with it. Oh, you want to treat me like this? Okay, bet. I'm going to be like this, and I'm going to be better at you than you with this. I'm going to make you feel what you made me feel throughout my years. And I could have flipped the coin easily. I could have been a drug addict. I could have been a prostitute. I could have been all those different things that the world looked down upon. But I chose not to, because that's not in my spirit, my heart. But it could have been so easy. Hell, my so-called father, he a drug addict. I'm gonna be straight up. He is. And he chose the streets for that. I'm gonna be straight for you. He is. When I first met him, I thought he was ugly. I told my mama, like, yo, what you saw? But I understand he wasn't always that all his life. But you can just stop, because let's be real. Everybody has a little something in their family. Let's not pretend like we don't, because at the end of the day, once you see the realness that's out there, it can make you better as a person. And it's also helped me stay away from that life. The things I witnessed growing up. Hell, when I was in school, middle school, for the first time, I got off that bus and saw a lot of pregnant girls. And one boy came up to me fresh off the bus saying, "You gonna be next." Little do he know that little comment was a blessing in disguise, because the devil is a lie. My mama is not gonna get me, for bringing a baby. That made me not want to have sex at all till later on in my life. Like, literally, fresh out of elementary, going to middle school, seeing a bunch of, and some of them on their second child. Ooh. Come on now. Traumatic
I've seen it.
Experience, but now that I'm older, who's to say what dysfunctions happen to them in their life to make them go that route to be so sexually active at a young age. So I can't judge anything nobody goes through, and we quick to point the finger of this, that, and other, but do you really sit back and think like, yo, what made them act that way? What made them go that route to devastation? Case in point with the Rittenhouse, his whole mama drove him to a situation. She wasn't the adult in the situation. She knew he's a child with an automatic weapon and still chose to drive him to an environment where he had no dealings. In other situations, with the what's his name?
Your hands are really cold.
Oh, it is. It is cold. Was it Weinstein? The one that killed the guy, the young boy with the Skittles. So
Jeez.
Because I don't acknowledge the killers too much because they're not important, but at the end of the day, this stable mind, and that he has, to what kind of environment he was in to be fearful of a teenager and stalk a teenager and do all these different things, it makes you wonder about the minds of people. Like, what is going on with you that you have to do something outside the box like that?
Well, so, you know, a lot of this stuff is taught. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, children and so on and so forth. Like, you know, like,
Zimmerman, thank you.
Oh, okay.
George Zimmerman.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Whoever said thank you.
Shout outs.
But yeah, like a lot of fears and resistances are like a taught. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You know, as far as like, you know, you being a child and so on and so forth, your parents, hey, don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. And then, you know, you go through that phase of like learning like the consequences of why these certain things.
Kind of like black folks had to be taught to live in fear, and white folks kind of it was at that particular time era taught to not like people for the color of their skin.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
and it's
a lot of those
things
things are taught. Like a lot of those things are taught, and so on and so forth, for whatever reasons, whether out of dysfunction or whether some trauma, maybe they had a bad experience or whatever. But either way, like those things are taught.
It is taught, and that's why I said it as far as like deprogramming yourself from certain situations, because we all have. I take that back. I lied. Majority of us have that sensibility of right and wrong. You know, and it's
moral
just
compass.
Yes, and a lot of people just don't want to go towards that compass. But at the end of the day, moving forward, let's go to the straight for you male or female topic, where we give that person the topic and they give us their perspective. So,
not it.
So which one you want to choose, the male or the female?
I just said not it. You got to choose. I just said not it.
But you always, I ain't finna. We finna do this today.
I just said not it.
We not finna do this today. So I'm gonna go with the person I see, and we're gonna go with the female. The female is D. Robinson. Shout out to Miss Robinson. Thank you for your perspective. So her perspective is, I'm definitely a victim. In order to break free, I made the decision to move away from my relatives and start fresh. While I love them, I can't allow their backward thinking to jeopardize the life I want for myself. I'm blessed and I visit them when I can, but you can't put a price tag on mental freedom. So Miss Robinson said again, I'm definitely a victim. In order to break free, I made the decision to move away from my relatives and start fresh. While I love them, I can't allow their backward thinking to jeopardize the life I want for myself. I'm blessed and I visit them when I can, but you can't put a price tag on mental freedom. And I can feel her on that, you know, because certain situations you do become a victim towards, and it's nothing you can do because you're young and you're caught up in the situation till you reach a certain age, and it's still a battle with that to mentally come from that, you know, because you physically were there and you still got the mental memories to deal with. And sometimes it's, even though it's hard, whoever was in your life to support your life or lack of support of your life, you might have to like push them to the side and be like, I can't deal with you anymore. And you have that right. A lot of people feel like because you part of the family, you have to be down with the family.
And I was just going to say that a lot of people encourage, or a lot of people preach that like family is like all that you have at the end of the day. And I'm pretty sure that causes that internal conflict within certain people. It is an
internal conflict. That is not right. If a person is beating you down, you can't help what family you were born into. You can't help what vessel you came through. If they're beating you down and you had the opportunity to finally get away and improve yourself and better yourself, you have every right to say enough is enough. Because you are grown, you take care of your business, you doing what you need to do. But you do have those individuals that it's not the family, it's them. And they keep coming back to the family and being a hindrance and being a person that is bringing the family down, giving them stress and frustration because they don't want to see them in that condition. The family got to learn how to say, you know what, enough is enough. And whatever happens in your life, that's on you, baby. Because again, we tried, because it can go either way.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the fact that you was like, "That's on you, baby."
It's true.
You sound like somebody grandma, whatever you say.
On you,
like,
baby.
That's on you, baby.
Because at the end of the day, that's too much on individuals. It's a lot going on in this world, and you just constantly just adding on again. That's just like a person on drugs that's heavy on drugs, and they keep coming in your life. They take your stuff. They put you through this drama. I in case know a member, a family that went through that, recently. Like they, and I commend them because they chose the younger generation over that older generation, because you don't want that to affect the new ones, because then they see that they have to endure that. They got to go through why such and such is stealing our stuff again, mom or dad, or why you always have to explain their mistakes of why they hurt the family.
Ooh. Or
better yet, it's just a lot to endure and take. But at the end of the day, somebody got to be strong enough to push somebody away and understand that even though they are your family, that don't mean nothing. At the end of the day, if they that traumatic within the family.
And with that being said, isn't it time for our sponsors?
Yes. By the way, thank you very much.
So
we're gonna take a quick break and give our Straight For You highlight to our sponsors, and we'll see you pretty soon. Bye. Welcome back to Straight For You, where we're giving you straightforward dialogue with an open mind. I'm your host, Miss Black Diamond, along with my co-host.
So I don't get the handsome this time.
You always handsome. What you mean?
It's okay.
I don't get no beautiful. I don't get no gorgeous.
That's because you introduced yourself. What did you say?
It's okay though. You can always say I'm beautiful or gorgeous.
But you already know that, so what I'm gonna tell you for?
No, everybody need a little affirmation sometimes.
Really? So did you just do that?
Yes.
You know what? Anyway, folks, it's Rashad, aka Trouble the Unruly. You know what I'm saying?
I love that Trouble Unruly.
Yeah, Trouble the Unruly.
I'm feeling that, for real.
You know what I'm saying? We're back in the building. And
yes. Well, we're continuing the topic for today is Dysfunctions with the Generations. And it got pretty heavy on the first half. See, that's dysfunction right there. That's what we speaking about. Because, hey, that's all I'm saying. No, I love him. So, it's all good. But, yes, we had a conversation with female perspective. Miss D. Robinson, she said she was a victim.
Ooh.
And she gave her perspective on how she just had to let the family just go to the side to make herself better.
She had to separate herself in order for her to be able to grow.
Yes, and I can respect that. Sometimes, and we had that discussion. We tapped into some of the situations where we experienced certain things with family. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, so we can continue with that. It's a lot of heavy hitter situations out here, and I think that's why the world is the way it is, because a lot of people haven't healed from previous traumas, and it can be down to all the way back to the slavery times and before then. So, but we talking about the good old U.S. of A. and how it was established and what we experiencing while we're here. And a lot of situations that happen throughout time and history has created traumatic experiences within the family
dynamic genetically.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what about those situations?
Oh, that's heavy. Do you want to get a male perspective before
No,
we?
I'm gonna get in a minute.
Okay. I couldn't tell you why that is. I couldn't tell you why it is, but I mean, it's been proven that that a lot of traumas and a lot of dysfunctions are genetically passed down. Mm-hmm. And shit, even for myself, one of the things that I find myself being a bit more cognizant of these days, sheesh, I'll be 35 in a couple of months.
Hey, blessings.
Right. Like I'm currently like looking for a therapist. I'm currently looking for a therapist just to kind of hash out some things or whatever, that some underlying issues that I might not even issues that I might not even have recognized as issues, or things that might be there that need to be addressed that I don't even know about.
I think that's a great thing.
The subconscious.
I think that's a great thing. Mm-hmm. I don't recall what episode, but remember we talked about people possibly seeing a psychiatrist or a therapist or whatever in order to release certain things that they have internally within them.
That they've internalized, yeah, yes, absolutely.
Because sometimes it's got to be beyond a family member or a friend. It's got to be someone that you don't know or professionally are capable of helping you see the direction that you need to go towards.
Right.
Not telling you to go in that direction, but give you a clear view of your thoughts. A better
perspective of your thoughts, a soundboard and so on.
Yeah.
And so so that's actually like at the very top of my to-do list for going into 35, to get, to speak with a therapist, and just like I said, because like I'm real big on growth and real big on, evolving day for day, and just growth, and I feel like that will be a major like stepping stone, to get some therapy, and just just to help me moving forward, like with the things that I want to pursue and the things that I want to do, and maybe give me but I feel like it'll give me a better perspective of why I view the world that I do, and not even so much that, like, be able to add some new programs to the schematics, and not even so much like still thriving off some old programs that no longer serve me.
Yeah, because you being a man, and not just a man, a black man, I think you saying that can help others step up to the plate of the idea of talking to someone professionally in order to make themselves better.
Yeah.
Because again, it's different when you talk to somebody that don't know you.
Right.
And can't be so judgmental of you due to the knowledge of you already. They there trying to you a clean slate to them.
Right.
They know nothing.
Right.
So with that being said, you can just spill whatever you need out and feel comfortable with it. Versus with your family and your friends, they've been through certain situations. I ain't gonna say all family and friends feel that way, but certain ones feel like, oh, they know you already, so why are you acting like that and stuff like that. And it's beyond that. Sometimes you have inner demons or inner battles or inner situations that you can't release out of fear of judgment.
Right.
And with that platform, they have no judgment. Because they getting paid to have no judgment. They just mentally trying to help you seek a better alternative in order to better your stance in life. So
you know what? Shouts out to the loved one Sharon from she's from the UK. One of my close friends from overseas. I talked to her as of late. We haven't really talked, but the moments whenever I do talk to her, she tells me about the things that she does with her children. Like, she's had her children in therapy, like, talking to a therapist, like, even in like the from elementary all the way up into now, like, right, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so she, and she's like, she's a real big advocate for like black people seeking therapy. She's an advocate for it, and she was like.
You know what, real quick, remember how you mentioned about once you have a child? I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you saying that, I wish I'd done that.
Right. And so, like, and she's kind of giving me an idea as to the things that I want to do in order to not necessarily just have my imprint on my children. And, I want them to kind of, I want them to, be able to properly navigate and make sense of their thoughts and their emotions or whatever outside of me. You know what I'm saying? So like when I do have children, like I have plans to like to have them, you know, to have them speak with a therapist. Even with myself, even from maybe having group therapy sessions to solo sessions.
Yeah, because I like the idea of the younger age, because my child was in it. I later had to do that,
right?
You know, and which has been helpful. But I wish I did it sooner,
right? Or
better yet, had it done for myself to get some of that, so I can deprogram. I had to learn self-wise that things weren't right, of what I was doing, because that was done to me,
right?
You know, and I had to reflect that didn't make me feel good. So why am I doing this? Saying because it's the right thing to do. This what the family does, you know.
Right. And
but what makes it right?
Right. What we've learned already is not everything that the family agrees with doesn't also make it right.
Yeah, because I'm looking at y'all, and y'all experience that same type of effect. But look at what y'all going through currently in y'all life. Did it make you better? So why should we keep going through the same type of discipline when it's not obviously working? It worked to a certain degree because you are somewhat of a stronger individual, but you still broken.
Let me get scientific real quick.
Okay, let's do this.
So, you think in this perspective, like there are so many variables that are accounted for and unaccounted for as far as what affects a person's life, from everything.
Yeah.
Your religion, your parents, your finances, like all those things. Not to mention, they teach you, they tell you that you have 5 senses. You actually have like several, I want to say I want to say you have like 20 plus.
Yeah, several.
Like from your sense of temperature, your sense of balance, your sense of
They mostly focus on the main
ones. Right, yeah, they focus on the main ones, but even those things like have like play a major part, whether consciously or subconsciously, as to who an individual is, how they function, how they operate, how they maneuver, and how they move.
Yeah.
So you have all these variables that are accounted for and unaccounted for in one individual, and you trying to navigate through this world that doesn't have blueprints or instructions and so on and so forth. And so we all out here just people in the best way that we know how. So and I say that to say that that's like one of the main reasons why I'm like pursuing a therapist, you know, in order to try to help me make sense of some of these things. You know, some of the thoughts that I have, to make sure that like some of the thoughts that I have are reasonable, and maybe not even so. I got questions and so on and so forth, and I feel like I need a outside perspective on me, and you know, just my thoughts and my views on how I view the world.
And even I'm gonna say this, even though you go into these individuals, you still gotta tap into yourself.
Right, absolutely.
You know, because they are individuals.
And I think that they give you the proper tools to do that.
Because they've been through the studies and they've seen certain things and certain patterns, but it don't mean they're always right.
Absolutely.
But you do take majority of the good stance that they give, and you build from there. Because like you stated just not too long ago, nobody has a guide to life. And also too, with the situations, even though they were traumatic, again, like I mentioned on the first half, you never know what they experienced.
Right, exactly.
And like you stated, like the scientific portion of it, that there's different levels of sensitivity within you. Because it could have been a situation where, like, say for instance, they had a high temperature, and then that temperature redid something in their body to make them not click as fast as certain other individuals. And you think they're acting odd when it's something internally
physical
going
traumas,
on.
mental, or emotional trauma.
Yes. So, or you could have the physical part when they've been abused so many times that they just go into themselves or become something else that is destructive towards the world. It's a lot of different scenarios within individuals. And the problem that I said, it starts at a certain point within the family that they see it, but they brush it under the rug, or they embrace it and encourage the chaos and confusion. It's just like a weird scenario of different situations.
And it is, and sometimes like not even all bad, but sometimes Sometimes there's situations because I've been witness to situations to where the parents, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do, and not even so much that they didn't have the money to do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a difficult thing within itself. You know, to try to be like, you know, to have to have this battle of pay these bills to keep this roof over my head, or, you know, and try to be able to, you know, like going back
mentally.
to like I said, all these different variables that go into play or whatever. Like, how do you know,
and that's like
trying to have some sort of way to have some sort of way to navigate and balance all of these things.
And that's where certain things should be created within the system, outside of the household, within the community to help, but that's too easy.
That's too easy, and then you get the people who abuse that as well. Yes, so every variable has some sort of level of dysfunction to, or can have the opposing side of it can be some sort of level of dysfunction or some sort of level of trauma.
Exactly, because just like I discussed earlier, what you reiterated on, like, it's not always the parent. It's not always the parent, and it's not always the child. It's just a situation where unstable is with stable, or stable is becoming unstable due to the growth process.
It's not always the people. Sometimes it's the government.
Well, and it's true, because the experiments they did back in the day by creating little situations where either medical wise or environmental, and with that trauma, it just kept going and growing like a unwanted cancer or tumor, you know. So therefore, it's a lot of different things can play into the life of people nowadays, and it's not just here, it's around the world. So let's pin note that, and let's go ahead and get to the straight for you male perspective.
What you got?
The male perspective is Calvin Moore. Shout out
Mr. Moore.
Yes. And he stated, we're all victims of generational dysfunction.
Ooh, come on now.
The challenge is being mentally and spiritually strong enough to break free and live your life your own way without fear or reoccurring family drama. At some point, you just say fuck it and move on. Again, Mr. Moore, shout outs to Calvin Moore.
Right.
He said, we're all victims of generational dysfunction.
Ooh.
The challenge is being mentally and spiritually strong enough to break free and live your life your own way without fear of reoccurring family drama. At some point, you just say fuck it and move on. So that's how he feels like we all victims. And at some point, ain't no certain. Let me not lie. In all aspects, we all have been through some type of trauma within our lives, whether it been within the family or outside in the environment. We all have experienced something.
Absolutely.
But some people experience more than others. Some people can build a stronger stance within themselves due to that drama, or some people just break down and can't come from it.
Right, absolutely.
And that's when you get the suicides. That's when you get the alcoholism. That's when you get the depression. That's when you get the anxieties. That's when you just get
sexual addiction, all of that. Like,
yes. And that comes to play with just something that impacted within their lives that caused it, or in some rare occasion, it could be genetics. It could be a situation where that person was just born that way. And it's kind of a thin line. Are they really that way, or were they born that way?
It's a very small,
And that's hard. And it's not just today. This is centuries of things. Down to what you read in the Bible, the stories that they tell you about all the different things people were doing and going through. And I think of the Bible as like a guide of just a recycling history, because what happened then is happening now with certain things. Right. So. And
who's to say what will be the case whenever like we leave here?
Exactly. Right. leave an imprint. Everybody leaves an imprint in this world, and that's what people don't realize. Every person here leaves some type of imprint, because it might not impact you, but impact somebody in this world that knows them, whether it's good or bad. And like, again, with the family dysfunctional trauma, they imprinted on you, because you are the reason why you are the person you are today, because, again, certain individuals putting their imprint in you.
Putting their imprint in you?
Well, on you, in you, beside you, around you. At the end of the day, you are a reflection of somebody's little something.
I don't want nobody putting their imprints in me.
Well, they had it in you. But yes, at the end of the day, let's be serious, because at the end of the day, this is somewhat of a serious topic. But yes, you had something stuck in you.
Shut up.
Oh Lord, we have to have a little funny. But yeah,
it started.
Yes, you know, it's all out of love and all out of respect. But I think we tapped into this topic pretty well, and we had a deep discussion with it. And if you have any more to say on it,
you know, actually no. Actually, I do. I was gonna say I don't, but the other part of me seeking the therapy is because of I can't remember what episode I said this on, and I think it might have been the episode like right after the New Year. But I don't quote me on that. But I remember saying, "Be kind to yourself."
Yeah, I remember saying it.
You know, I want to be in a place to where I'm a lot more kinder to myself, because I like, not even trying to be boastful or like, you know, cocky and anything, but I feel like I deserve that.
You do deserve it. And a lot of people some people go overboard with it. But for the ones that have been helpful, because you're a helpful person, you're a loving person, you're an understanding person, you're a kind person. And I'm not saying that just to say it, you know, because if you wasn't, I wouldn't say it. Period. You know that about me.
I'm gonna hug your face. I'm
gonna take it. But at the end of the day, you are that type of individual that I respect and I appreciate, like, to the fullest, because I know that you have thoughts in your mind that hinder you from things. But we all have those, you know. But sometimes you're gonna have to break past your own self. Yeah. Because your own self can be your wall.
Absolutely.
Nobody else but you.
And look, I want to get out of my own way. And like, honestly, I want to get out of my own way.
And I see, once that happens, how I visually see. For me, I visually see how much you will soar once that happens. Because
cut it out.
Again, I had to get out of my own way and thoughts to create what you see. And I'm getting more out my way to go beyond what you see.
And
so
doing a great job.
Well, thank you. And
what episode is this? 14?
Yes, this episode 14.
Moving right along.
Yes, we are definitely doing the thing. We're trying to impact people's lives and have them impact our lives in a positive way.
Listen, y'all, she be fussing at me.
Hey,
she be fussing.
It's all out of love. It's love, though.
She be fussing.
I fuss at her love, honey, because I want the best of the best for certain people.
She be cracking the whip. I don't love.
2.0, and I gave that warning. 2.0 this year, because last year was an introduction. Last year was a break from my fears to create what you currently see.
I remember like the conversations about putting this together, and like slowly but surely you be like, oh, I got this and I got that. I remember the day I came, and I was like, oh shit, like we got. I was like, oh shit, we got everything.
Yeah.
So, and I remember like the whole process of like setting it up and like putting everything together, and I was like, oh, this is it. Like, we here now. Yeah. Look at you.
Yeah. Look at you. Come on now. I mean what I said, and I said what I mean. And at the end of the day, like I said, in my past, I think if I was left to my own vision, my stance would totally be different. And I wouldn't have experienced a lot of unwanted things. Not saying I wasn't going to experience no things, but it would have been my way versus somebody else's vision of where I'm supposed to be.
But count it out. I want to say count it out glory, because look at who you are now. Like, look at who you are now. Like, I know that a lot of people, including myself, like care about you very, very deeply, and and want to be there to support you. So like count it all glory, the fact that you have like such a sturdy and strong support system, and you have people that are really like helping you, to push this whole thing that you believe in, like count it all joy.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful thing, and the fact, like I said, the fact you have a lot of people, and I see it day for day. I see it. In fact, just on your lives and everything, and just like from the things that you tell me, and how many people want to be involved, and how many people want to support, like you. That speaks to not what you're doing, but that speaks to who you are.
Well, thank you. I really, truly take that. And because at first I used to shy away from compliments. But now I embrace it. And because you are correct, due to those things maybe in my life that hinder me from my purpose, either way, I'm coming back to a new version of me and purpose. So maybe it was meant to be. And like I stated in several episodes, I'm not counting it as a loss. I'm counting them as lessons to make myself better and hopefully bring certain people along with me in order to make them successful with me. I'm not trying to take nothing from nobody, and I'm not going to let nobody take nothing from me anymore, because I used to do that. Used to be that person that I might as well be not sugarcoated. I was the man, I let you do what you do, say what you say, and still help you despite how you treated me.
I love a dysfunction.
So at this time, like you stated, it's about me, and I'm happy to say that it's about me. And I don't mind taking certain people with me, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna protect my mental, protect my peace, and protect certain people that I love and respect. So that's my stance, and that's how I'm gonna take it. So
we before we get out of here, we got the positive
yes,
quote. Yeah,
sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you for letting them know it's time for that Straight For You positive quote, where we always give y'all a positive quote, because we don't want to make you feel like it's always so heavy. So every time, if you haven't noticed, go back to those episodes and listen. It might help you. So today's positive quote is another anonymous. It says, "Be grateful for every second of every day.
Come on now.
That you get to spend with the people you love. Life is so very precious." And again, it says, "Be grateful for every second of every day that you get to spend with the people you love." Okay? Life is so very precious. And it doesn't necessarily mean the people you have to love. It's the people
that you choose,
you spend with, that love you and you love them. Because a lot of people feel like because you within that situation family-wise, you have to love them. Or you next to a person, you have to love them. You love the people that love you and respect you and honor you for who you are. And don't be afraid to receive that love. You got people that are out here so hurt and traumatized by other individuals that hurt them that they don't even know what love looks like when it comes right in front of their face.
They have a traumatic idea of what love is.
Yes, so, and when you finally get a genuine person, or a person that respects who they are or want to be in the light of them, it's like you're not real. And I've seen that.
High heels though.
You are. Cheers. Yes. So make sure y'all understand that and respect that it's okay to have a positive person right beside you. Now, if you give it,
that's encouraged. That should be encouraged.
And respect that is rare to receive, because you do have those people that want to take and absorb your energy and use it for their purposes. And you have to open your. I had to learn to open my eyes.
Energy vampires.
Yes, they're energy vampires. They blood suckers of your light suckers. Okay, and you got to distinguish who's who. And after a while, when you finally love yourself, it becomes easier to see. I say that. So with that being said, we are closing the show, and please give them where they can find you, sir.
Folks, you can find me here every Monday. You know what I'm saying? You can find me here, and all things Trouble on there.
Yes.
All things social media. Yeah, Trouble on there. Real quick, don't forget to check out the merchandise. Don't forget the shirts, the cups.
Yes, it's gonna be in the description.
Yeah,
it's A1perfectentertainment.com. Well, A1perfectentertain.com, but the company is A1 Perfect Entertainment LLC. But yes. Anything else?
No, what you got?
I'm just gonna let y'all know y'all can find me here on Mondays, also with the nice, lovely chocolate man right here. And also too, you can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram under Ms. MZ _Black Diamond. I'm also located on Facebook, which is the Straight For You podcast. So feel free to follow that. And also, I'm rarely on TikTok, which is still Ms. that's MZ _Black Diamond. And just make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Make sure y'all like, because it's important. And make sure y'all share and let your people know, hey, what we trying to do. We trying to be young entrepreneurs in this world, trying to make a difference. So please make sure y'all just support by just, like I said, subscribing and hitting that like button and sharing. And again, we appreciate you. We have plenty to talk about throughout the year and in the upcoming years. We trying to do some big, well, let me stop lying. We are doing some big things in this world, and we appreciate y'all support. On that note, anything else?
I think that's it.
All right now. So thank you for tuning in to Straight For You podcast. See you next time. Bye.